Hi, my name is Jason3KB, and today I'm reviewing the game that is based upon my soul, Dying Light. As always, I'd like to thank you guys so much for the support on this show. You guys really have no idea how much it helps when you guys comment below and let me know how I do on the reviews. I know that this one here is kind of a big one because a lot of people are asking, how is Dying Light? Well, I spent like not just numerous hours, like probably about 30 hours in this game to make sure that I knew exactly what I was playing when I reviewed it. So I'd like to ask you guys, I hardly ask this ever in the reviews, but if you could share this review on things like, like zombie forums or like the Walking Dead forums or anything where zombie culture is, it would really mean a lot to me, and other video game sites and all that stuff. It would mean so much to me, so we can get strong again on the show, because I was sick for so long and a lot of people are like, where the fuck is he? I'm gonna fucking unsub. Well, I'm sure a lot of people did unsub because they assumed that I was dead, like in a corner after I got raped by like 17 hookers. That didn't happen. That didn't happen. I asked you guys to ask questions that you'd want me to answer in this review. So let's get to the review right away. This one's a good one. Sam Elliott Buswell, he asks, how goes your sex life? Well, it's good. Buttery Beans, he asks, as a zombie game, how do you feel it holds up to other survival type zombie games out there? What does it do better? What does it do worse? The reason I wanted to answer this right away was because I felt that a lot of people are asking me, is this just Dead Island? So Doobie420, who I'm sure is really opposed to legalizing drugs, and John Gary asks, is this just a Dead Island remake? Well, what does it do better? What does it do worse? I think if you took Dead Island and Dead Island Riptide and you basically added parkour and better graphics, a little bit better animation on all of the zombies and the ways that they explode and the ways that they deteriorate as they're set on fire and the looting and all that sort of stuff, would you just get Dead Island? Is it just Dead Island 2? But I thought Dead Island 2 was coming out like later, and this is just Dying Light. Well, I have to go into the story now because a lot of people were asking how's the story. So Alyssa White and a whole slew of other people asked me, how's the story in the game? Well, I will tell you a little bit about the story because I don't like to give the story away in my review. So you're actually playing as, well, do I want to say this? You're playing as an undercover operative who is sent into Haran. Now, Haran is a fictional city, and it does not actually exist. Now, is Haran a beautiful place? We'll get into that when I talk about the map, but Haran is in the post-apocalyptic future. It's destroyed. There's zombies everywhere, just like in every other zombie game, and you have to go and collect medicine or loot for people that have lost it when the outbreak has happened. So is it really pushing the limits of story in a zombie game? And somebody asked, what does it do better, what does it do worse? Well, if I compare it to Dead Island, it definitely is a little bit more serious than Dead Island, but it's not as serious as, say, The Last of Us. You play as this operative, and it's in an open world environment that introduces parkour right off the bat, and it has a very unique, I'd like to think, not a gimmick, day and night cycle that is dynamic. So the 64 minutes that you play in the daytime versus, I believe, the 7 minutes, which I'll double check, at nighttime, I think I put that in my notes. No, actually, it's 7 minutes at nighttime and 64 minutes in the daytime. So you'll be playing for 64 minutes in the day and only 7 minutes at night. The reason for that is that nighttime's kind of fucking scary in this game, and there's some unique possibilities that happen at night, not to mention that your agility points and your power points and everything at nighttime is doubled. So at nighttime you have this sort of risk minus reward. Like, do you want to go out there in the nighttime and complete these missions? Because you don't have to do it at nighttime. So the story, I'm not going to give too much away. I'll just say that Roger Craig Smith, who also played Batman in Arkham Oranges is like a bunch of oranges you bite and there's like Batman symbols in them, and I really have no joke to go with that. But there's two sections to the map, which I'll talk about in a second. I do want to bring up one thing. There was this character called Ghazi, and I absolutely loved him in the game. At first I was like, this is horrible writing, but he really captured something that really hit a note with me. And I want to say this now. A lot of people are assuming games need to be so serious now that like serious games like The Last of Us. I always mention that one because it is obviously a very serious game. Games like that introduced us to a world where games could be completely serious and have moments of humor, but they were very real. This is the type of game where you sit back and you realize that video games do not need to be like that. They can also be like comic books. They could also be full of humor and full of just satire and making fun of themselves and just completely over the top. And in this, you are really playing a game that is basically, I wouldn't say that it's like super refined over Dead Island, but I would say that they really went back to the drawing board and said, how can we make a fun, kooky, serious, in moments game that unfortunately doesn't work story-wise as much as I would like it to. In the beginning of the game, the first 10 hours, like I said in my review in progress, wow, the first 10 hours was wretched for me, and I thought, what are they trying to do here? The game truly opens up as you get deeper into the night and you level up your character, because leveling up your character is super important in this game because of the parkour. You definitely want to be the most, you want to be the fastest runner in the game, because in the game you are sent out to do a lot of fetch missions, and a lot of people are asking about that, and I'll get into that later. Party Rock 62 says, I heard the game is very linear and not very open world-ish. Is this true? Well, I'm going to talk about the map now, because that would involve how linear the game is. The map actually is split into two major sections. The two sections I would say are definitely big, and it's not just a flat surface, because parkour is definitely a major part of this game. So you have two sides. You have your old town and your slums. Now you start out in the slums in a giant condo that's been destroyed. I don't know why I said condo, but it's been destroyed completely. Windows are busted out, and this is your home base in Haran. So when you land in Haran, this is your first safe house. This is where you will be staying at nighttime when you don't really want to go out into the nighttime. And I'll get into why you don't want to get out into the nighttime in a bit. Here's something I have to say about the map. The map, amazing. The architecture in the game, I think, personally, is amazing. To be able to go into not every single house that you see, not every single basement that you see, but I would say actually enough for me to feel like I've really been in a world that is real. Like, a lot of doors are locked, and there are also a lot that are open, where you'll find a lot of loot that you need to survive the night. Because in the nighttime, you need some serious weapons if you want to survive outside. Now, there's something to be said about the nighttime. The nighttime is definitely a very spooky place. This is where you use ultraviolet lighting to kill the zombies. For whatever reason, at nighttime, they become extra strong, because it is nighttime and you have to escape them at nighttime. Now, the map does introduce so many different levels to you in terms of actual floors you can jump up to, and you do eventually get a grappling hook. And this is where the game really starts to shine later on, like 20 hours in, when you realize that this is just cause, basically. If you play the game just cause, you've played Dead Island. Dying Light. It really has moments of just cause with that hook shot, or as you would call it, grappling hook. Let's talk about the parkour. The Retro Collectors asked me, by the way, they have a channel, click their name, you can check it out. They asked me, how's the parkour in the game? Is it easy to jump from building to building, roof to roof? It's got to be hard. Well, the parkour in this game is one of the most the shining gems in the game, because it works really well for me. I know that a lot of people might have issues with it because it's a little bit tricky to get used to at the beginning, but when you level it up, this game becomes so much more. It becomes so much more than it's leading it on to be. It becomes something that I feel falls into, like I said before, just cause. That game was a lot of fun, just kookiness, jumping around. This game definitely does get into that. And you're wondering, well, the parkour, how big of it, how much of it are you going to use? Like, is it just something cheesy, like you're going to run and get on a roof and that's it? No. There's definitely moments where you're running away from things and parkouring the shit out of your life to get into a building, a safe house, with UV light protection around it. Once you get into a safe house at nighttime, you're protected from those zombies that will rip you to shreds. So it's very important that you level up your parkour, and that's where I'll get into the gameplay of this game. So the game actually has 3 skill trees. You have your survivor rank, your agility level, and your power level. Now, as you would assume, all of those things have different abilities, and it's just like Far Cry 4. You unlock them as you go by doing certain things. So your survivor rank and your agility and your power level, those all will level up as you play the game. So your agility level, how are you going to power that up? Well, you're going to do that by doing parkour. So as you do jumps and then you see actual points going into that level, as they build up, you gain points. Same as your power level. By killing zombies, bashing them on the heads, doing things like that, you're going to unlock cool things like being able to run and shove them out of the way, or jump over them by like grabbing them and pushing their heads up. Your agility level is going to allow you to do things like run longer. Your skill point tree is very important in this game because you want to pay attention to how you want to play the game, and it really doesn't force you to do certain things. It doesn't say like you need to be super powerful to defeat this, because if you're smart enough, you will go with your agility side of things and be able to parkour your way out of that situation. So if you're the type of player that wants to bash the shit out of zombies, you're going to go with your power levels more than your agility levels. And if you want to do this or that, you're going to go with one or the other. Now, if you go with your agility and you're running a lot more, you're going to unlock that quicker, because that's essentially where your points are going into. If you're more of the type of person that wants to really harness the power of all of your weapons and whatnot, then you'll be bashing the shit out of zombies right away. So my huge thing here would be, if you're going to play the game as a zombie basher, do that right away. Don't wait 10 hours and then start bashing zombies, and don't worry about your weapons. Those will come and go. You'll lose a lot of them because they have durability levels on them. They can only be fixed a certain amount of times, but I'll get into the detail of the weapons soon enough. So if you want to be an evader and play this a stealth way, don't use any weapons at all. You'll be saving your time. There's also blueprints that were in Dead Island. They're back in this. You get blueprints from missions. You find them in, like, after you've killed kind of bosses, you find them in random chests that you can unlock in the game. You need lockpicking, little lockpicks to actually get into those as well. That's another cool thing. There's tons of things that you need to unlock, so you have lockpicks that you can actually generate yourself by hitting the pause menu. You've got upgrades to weapons. Now, upgrades to weapons would include the blueprints. So you have to find the blueprint to, say, turn electricity on or fire on a weapon or on a bat or whatever. You need to find those things. You don't just simply get them by playing the game and walking around. You need to actually go out there and find them, complete side missions to get the best ones. There's also mods that you can install on weapons. So some weapons might have 2 sockets or 3 sockets. It's a lot like any other typical RPG. You can install socket mods. So weapons, they have durability on them. So they break down after a while, and you physically see them on screen break down. Now, I think that is pretty interesting. It caused me to be very stressed out, because there was moments where I was bashing shit out of zombies, and I had like a wrench, and it would break, and I'd think, oh fuck, I gotta fix it, but I can't get out of the situation. You switch to another weapon, boom, 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 you break that one. You get into these moments where you're nervous, and you're thinking, where am I going to get my next weapons, and should I upgrade this one, because I know it's going to break down, and I can only fix it a certain amount of times before it's completely toast. It's one of those games that you love to search and find loot in. If you're a looter, oh man, if you're just like into those looting games, you're going to love it. It's just like Dead Island, but it's more refined. It works a lot better. Now, your inventory is also there at any point in time. Here's one thing I want to point out. Your blueprints are not made at workbenches anymore. They're actually made live in real time. But no, it isn't actually live in real time. You pause the game. Now, this kind of pisses me off, because when you pause the game and create something, it actually goes through a progress bar. And I thought, why the fuck is a progress bar there if it's not in real time? So that's a bit of a weird choice on their behalf. So you have an inventory, and you also have a backpack. You can also put all of your things in your stash at your safe houses. Now, safe houses are all throughout the map, and you need to basically take those over from other enemies in the game. So if you don't go and do those little missions, like in Far Cry 4, if you don't take over those little outposts, you're kind of screwed at nighttime, because those are the only sections where you can survive. Unless you run under a trap that's like a UV trap at night, you're kind of screwed. You can have 4 weapons on you at once. You also have 4 equipment spots. So equipment would be like UV lights, your hook shot, an actual shield, which I thought was very interesting. And the shield itself can be upgraded to have electricity on it, so you can, run into a zombie with your shield, which is awesome. Ammo. Now, this is a cool thing for me. This is the only thing in the game that's picked up automatically and that would be ammo. So when you're shooting your gun and you're worried about your ammo, it picks up automatically off the ground. You don't have to look down. Now, I know that's kind of not the point of a survival horror game. You should have to look down, but I have to say it was a welcome addition for me. As I said before, you're going to be doing a lot of looting on top of roofs. There's a lot of like hand baskets, a lot of like little gear bags that you'll be opening up. The backs of police cars, hint hint, you want to definitely open those up if you want to get some guns. I would say that crafting in this game is not super interesting. It's not like I'm going out there to find some unique parts all the time. You do unfortunately pick up a lot of the same shit over and over. Is it balanced? That's my main focus here. Is the looting balanced, and are you kind of rewarded once in a while for looting a lot? Well, this is where I want to talk about something very cool. The companion app that is on the iPad, and I'm sure it's on Android as well, is sort of a very simple game. I'm not going to review that, but it allows you to send care packages from your iPad into the game, and you pick those up at your safe houses. Dale's Tech asks, "Hey Jay, does the game have any jump scares?" Well, he's asking how scary is the game, so thanks for asking that. He was the only one that did. I'm going to talk about the enemies, and there was one jump scare that really got me, and so I play with Ali online. He's a 3KB legend. There was a moment where him and I, we weren't happy. I'll tell you it here. No, you know what? I'm gonna not tell you, because this is, let's just say there's apartment buildings throughout this game, and you go into the apartment buildings, and there's one apartment building you go into, and you come across an enemy called a Screamer. I'm not going to say what it is or what you do to it, but I'm going to say after I killed the Screamer, I got the trophy Hush Hush Now. Yes, there are jump scares, and yes, they fucking work. Scared the shit out of us. Anyways, enemy types. So you've got your typical biters, which are just common ones that are running around and, well, sorry, not actually running around. They're just walking around in the daytime. Now, first 5 minutes into the game, I saw the identical AI character 16,000 times. Like, every time you turn a corner, it's the same female zombie. She's walking around, she's got her bra strapped down, you can see her nipple, and you kind of want to go like that to it. You can't do that, though. But I'd say, again, first half of the game, you see a lot of the same zombies. As you go into the game, you start to see runners, which are more aggressive. So these ones will scream and run at you, and these are the ones you want to avoid at nighttime. You've got other ones called like Demolisher, which are very uncommon ones. They carry like huge weapons around and bash them on the grounds. You've got your Miner, which is another heavy set enemy type, which in this, the notes here that I was taking, the Miner has huge hammer. So it's another one of those ones that bashes it down or swings it. Kind of reminded me of Dead Island. You've got your Toad, which is a zombie that spits, so you've got your spitters. Then you have your Screamers, which is a beep, 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 beep. They typically are inside buildings, and they scream. They can disorient the player and the affected, and attract other infected. For fuck's sakes, English. Last but not least, somebody finally asked about the co-op. Well, yes, this game has co-op. 4-player co-op and a 5th spot for a zombie, so you can be injected into a game and play as the zombie. There was a big hoopla about the DLC and the delay of the game. I'm not even going to talk about that. I'm sure a lot of you know what I'm talking about, but they want to know, is it worth playing the co-op? Is it awesome? Is the game worth playing with the co-op? When you get a co-op player, like I was playing with Ali, who's the 3KB legend, when he came into the game, this game changed completely. It went from a decent, fun, enjoyable looting game, surviving against the zombies, to a team-based strategy game where I was really telling him, okay, we got to do this and this and this. Let's go to this house, loot the house, protect me over here, kill the zombie for me, I'll save you over here. Here's some loot that I picked up. You can drop items and give them to your co-op players. It's awesome. Co-op is fucking awesome in this game. When you get 4 players, it reminds me of things like, it reminds me of GoldenEye, man. It reminds me of being on the couch and playing GoldenEye with your friends, looking over at them and saying like, this is This is like memories I'll never forget until I'm like 60 and I die. Hopefully I don't die at 60, but point is, you'll create moments in this game with your friends that you won't soon forget. So they're very like things at night, like seeing them run by while you're hiding at nighttime and seeing them flash in front of your light and just like beating the shit out of zombies together. You're like, all of a sudden you're in Shaun of the Dead, or you're in Dawn of the Dead, or the remake, and it's a lot of fun, man. Playing as a zombie is one thing, great. It's interesting, it's fun, but no, the 4-player co-op is all about telling your friends, like, let's do this mission, let's have some fun. So I would love to play with you guys. So add me on PSN, because I have it on PS4. So I gave that to you at the beginning. Thank you. Last but not least, the most important part of a zombie game that is not the parkour side would be the weapons. So a lot of people ask me about the weapons and what kind of types. Well, I'm not going to go into super detail about the weapons, because if you've played Dead Island, you've used every weapon ever that's in this game as well. There's nothing that's super crazy that I even need to bring up. You have your typical bats, your typical knives, your throwing stars, which are kind of funny. They can all be modded to explode or have electricity on them, or fire or poison. All sorts of things that you can imagine are really in this game. Is it fun to use the different weapons? Do you notice how powerful one is and one isn't? Well, no. Unfortunately for me, it doesn't feel that balanced in terms of weapon types. I feel like using, like, say, a wrench versus a sword, you would think the sword would just chop through everything, but no, it doesn't. You have to kind of upgrade it, and that's where it becomes frustrating, because you know it has a certain durability level, and eventually that sword will be dead. It'll be gone. You'll have to break it down to get parts. And that's where the game is frustrating to me, because I would like to have some weapons that last more than, say, 5 rebirths. Like, you can rebirth a weapon. So after it's been destroyed, you rebirth it. And it's got a little thing that says durability and how much it has left and how many times you can rebirth it. You can upgrade your weapons in the game just like you can do in Dead Island. So upgrade them to have, again, fire and electricity. But they also have mods that actually that actually increase the power of the weapon, or say the durability of the weapon. Overall, I give Dying Light a 7.5 out of 10. Like I said before, I really feel like they dropped the ball on like how scary this game could truly be, and they went with more of a kooky comic book feel, and there's nothing actually wrong with that choice. It's just not my personal choice. I know that a lot of people out there will appreciate having a game that doesn't take itself too seriously. On the other hand, you do demand a little bit more from a game when they have moments right off the bat where they're killing the brother or the sister of a main character, and you're thinking, okay, it's taking it it's serious. It's a bit serious. It's grim. It's dark, and all of a sudden there's this humor moment where it throws it out of whack, and then you're going from serious to joking to serious to kind of not serious to making fun of itself, and you realize that they had a vision. They definitely had a vision here, and that's very important to have a vision. Is that vision necessarily something that is a solid vision? Not necessarily in this game, but a 7.5 is by all means not an extremely bad game. People saying, as I close this out, is it just Dead Island? I have to be honest with you guys, it is just Dead Island with parkour and a few different mods and upgrades. The story obviously is completely different, but is it what I wanted Dead Island to be? And I can say, honestly, if you like Dead Island, even a little bit, this is a huge step in the right direction for Dead Island. And if you are a fan of Dying Light now, then this is something that I would call a stepping stone in gaming, where it's just enough to get you up to a level where Dead Island 2 could be a game that really will knock your socks off. They need to fix quite a bit of things in this game, like the story, the waypoint system, and definitely the pacing. But if they fix those 3 things, everything else I felt I had a lot of fun with. Like, it was just a lot of fun. 7.5. And the final question, everyone's asking, is it worth $60? And I'm going to go on a limb here and say, if you're a fan of Dead Rising, or Dead Island, or Just Cause, this is a game that introduces some new elements. Some are really good, some are not so good, It's one of those decisions you'll have to make for yourself, because I can't say that it isn't worth $60 and I can't say it is worth $60. It's really difficult for me to say go out and spend $60 on this game, because there are some people that are not going to like the comic book feeling of the story and the game and everything that comes with it. It really is a comic book, and I really enjoy it for what it is. It's a 7.5. It's not spectacular. If you like that comic book feel, the goofiness, then you really need to pay attention to the characters as you're introduced to them. That's something that's really important in this game. If you just play the game running around from point A to Z in the story, you're not going to get everything out of it. You need to experience the richness of the kookiness of the time they spent to make these kooky characters and fetch quests. Thank you so much for watching. Really, thank you so much. It means a lot to me if you guys can share this video. I know that I hardly ever ask that on the show, and people are like, what? He wants us to click a button now? It would really mean a lot to me, so thank you so much. I'm really watching the main channels like IGN and all these channels, and who else closed down, and things are going independent. I'm an independent reviewer, and it's very important to me that you guys spread the word. That's how the show survives. So thank you so much. It means a lot to me that you do that. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much to ANC Games for giving me the review copy of Dying Light, and thank you so much for your hugs and kisses that you've sent me in the mail. Add me on Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff. I love you guys. Bye.